Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Mic Check Podcast. I'm your host, T Word, the People's Champ. Thanks for tuning in. Today, we're going to talk about Stephen Fulton and Naoya Inoue and a potential showdown at the 122-pound division in boxing, which is going to be super bantamweight. So, let's go ahead and start from the beginning. A little over a year ago, Stephen Fulton, or right around a year ago, Stephen Fulton faced Brandon Figueroa for a WBC and WBO unification bout at the 122-pound division. And Fulton did win the fight. It was a hotly contested fight. It was an inside fight. These guys really went toe to toe. And Fulton was able to come away the winner to unify the titles. And eventually, Figueroa decided after the fight to move up. Now, the issue that came from this fight was that many people thought that Figueroa won the fight, and it was a very good fight. I mean, I stayed up late and watched it. I mean, these guys slugged it out, and it was something else a little surprising because a lot of people didn't see Fulton standing there and going toe to toe with Figueroa, and he did. He stood in the pocket. He got his shots off. He ate some shots. They hurt each other, but Fulton did land the cleaner shots. Some people say that the ring generalship should have been graded Fig's way. That's a legitimate argument. I'm not here to debate that. The result is the result. Fulton did go ahead and get the win. Now, Monster Inoue, on the other hand, was busy taking care of business in his area down in the 118-pound division. That's going to be bantamweight. And he beat Nonito Donaire. And then he followed that up with a win over Paul Butler to become the undisputed champion at the 118-pound division. Now, what that means is when he picked up the WBO strap from Paul Butler and unified the titles, there's a couple of ways that you can become WBO Super Champion. And that's a very specific and important distinction because it carries some additional perks. Number one, to become a super champion, you can become the WBO champion like Terrence Crawford, as we talked about in the previous video, and defend your title at least 3 times, and you'll become the super. That grants you access to the champion in the next division to become their mandatory if and when you decide to move up. Now, keep that in the back of your mind. The other opportunity to become a super champion is to unify with another belt from a different organization. For example, if you're the WBO champ and you grab the WBA, WBC, or IBF, or all of, and become undisputed, you're going to go ahead and get that automatic title shot at the champion in the next division up. So, for example, right now, Terrence Crawford is a super champion for the WBO at welterweight, 147 pounds. He is entitled to move up immediately to become Jamel Charlo's mandatory contender at 154 pounds, the super welterweight, junior middleweight, whatever you want to call it. Another instance of this happening was Terrence Crawford when he was the WBO and overall champion. He was undisputed at 140 pounds. He actually took that distinction and was able to move right up and face Jeff Horn for the WBO belt. So when people are talking about mandatories and things like that, that's a very important distinction to have. Switching back to Monster Inoue and Stephen Fulton, these guys are in a similar situation now because Inoue is now undisputed. The WBO has officially crowned him the super champion, and he can move up right away and face Stephen Fulton at 107 pounds, 120 pounds, 22 pounds, and contend for that belt. So what we want to talk about today is if it's going to happen and when. A little bit more background and information because the outcome of the Stephen Fulton and Figueroa fight was so much contested by fans. Fulton's willing to fight Figueroa again, who has since moved up to 126 pounds and is in line to fight for a vacant WBC belt or an interim WBC distinction. All right, so what can happen here is that Fulton has already petitioned the WBC to go ahead and challenge for that belt against Figueroa at 126 pounds. But on the other hand, and that's going to be featherweight. On the other hand, Monster Inoue has been recently said to be having trouble with weight at 118, so he's looking to move up soon. Hasn't stated that he will, but by his weight struggles, it's a good chance that he's going to go ahead and move up very soon to more comfortable weight. And, he figures his power is going to carry. He's got the skills, so all he needs to do is just make that weight, which he should do comfortably. So he can go ahead and initiate that challenge right away, or he can fight someone else and then challenge. Whatever he decides. The big question mark is going to be, what is Stephen Fulton going to do? So Cool Boy Steph has two things he can do. The first thing, he has an option to fight Figueroa for the WBC interim belt at 126, which is currently kind of tied up with Ray Vargas, who's the 126 WBC champ. Now he's moving up to fight for a vacant title at 130. So if he moves up, wins the title, and stays at 130, then that leaves the door open for Figueroa or Fulton to win their fight head to head, claim the 120-pound championship, and then start to look for unifications or whatever. Because Fulton is unified, he could actually also challenge the WBO champion at 126 pounds, which I believe that's also a vacant belt. So there's really no challenge, but he could become in line to get the interim distinction there too. So he could really become unified champ at the next division and not look back. Alternatively, he could put that fight on the back burner and maybe fry Figueroa later because he's already beat him and say, hey, I'm going to stay down here. Inoue, go ahead and move up. Let's go ahead and make a fight. Let's fight for this belt now. Let me get you out the way. And that will be cool. My personal opinion is that he should go ahead and fight Figueroa because that was his initial plan, and then turn around and fight Inoue after. And then he could decide what he wants to do. If he's a champion in both divisions, he can decide which belt is more important to him and decide what he wants to do going forward. Or he could try and make undisputed since he's 2 belts in at 122. He just needs 2 more belts, or he could start that path at 126, and then he'll need 3 belts to go for undisputed. And that's a new thing now. So we'll see how that plays out. The next question is going to be, let's say he fights Inoue. Where's that fight going to happen? Do they go to Japan? My co-host Q definitely thinks that it's more money in Japan. I tend to disagree. We'll get into the numbers another time if this becomes a real fight. As of right now, it's just conversation. But I don't believe that there's more money over there, even though Inoue is a big draw in his home country. I just don't see it. 17,000 in Japan, and they're paying significantly less per ticket than they would pay for, let's say, 12 or 13,000 in the US. Why would you even travel if you're going to make near or about the same amount? If you're talking about a couple $100,000, which is expenses and travel fees anyway, why would you travel for that? And you're the defending champ. If I'm the champ, you're going to have to come and see me at my place, and my place is anywhere in the US, whether we go to Vegas, we take it down to Texas to one of the bigger venues or whatever, or even if we do a joint venture where we on the undercard or become a co-main with another headliner from PBC. I think that there's plenty of options. The biggest hurdle is going to be if there's a purse bid, if there's a clause in Fulton's contract that requires his promoter to jump into the purse bid and trying to win it, or if Top Rank will win the purse bid and then the fight's automatically going to Inoue's home. So it's going to be interesting how that plays out. I would hate that because that means the fight's going to be on at 5 a.m. But at the end of the day, it's just conversation. I would love to get your thoughts. This has been T-Word for the Mic Check Podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for your time. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.